Okay, here I am. I'm early. I don't really do a lot of these live things, at least expecting people to listen to them. So I went ahead and tried out that thing where you invite people and stuff, but everyone's probably in bed. Am I the only one up at what time is it? Well, I guess this is 1 a.m. I'm doing this, but you know what? Since I've been up and around for so many hours, my voice is a bit better now. Well, if I try to get up early in the morning and read these live, then my voice isn't as good. I'm killing a little time in case someone does come on to listen. Um, the first ones I'm gonna do are just some kind of just miscellaneous ones, and then this next section I'm going to do are really there's going to be I don't know the name of the chapter of my. This is a poetry book, by the way. I'm working on. My light is moving here, and this is just some poems from my poetry book I'm working on and trying to get a. Sorry. I'm trying to get a live version of this that's practiced, so that I'll be able to read these live, like if I get some chances in bars or places where they have poetry readings. And then I'll have some drama in my voice and that. And my publisher, I'm sorry for jumping around here, my publisher is telling me to like use my lower register. And instead of my, here's my poem about the world, I'm going to go, here's my poem, and kind of go in my deeper registers here. Is it, I don't know what time is it. I think it's almost time. I'm going to tell you then, okay, this book is going to be about 130 pages when it's all done. Maybe it's called Orbs and Asses. That's the title of the book, and it's going to be probably 5 different there's like one chapter that's like family portraits. It's like real early memories of childhood, like scenes with my mom when we were real little. Then I have some. The main ones really is that I went through some severe mental illness through the pandemic. But I'm not going to read those tonight. Those are actually still triggering me and make me kind of freaked out. Hopefully, people that want to be freaked out might want to read those poems. I don't know, they're very intense. But at the same time, those poems are written, or they're actually going to be published in the order that they were written, almost at the time that I was going through that whatever crisis that was. So if I was like, or if I suddenly felt extremely happy, and it has the day on it, the date and date that I wrote it, and it's most of them 2020, so it gives a little, you're like, I wonder why he was writing like that in 2020. It gives you a little bit of context. Well, you know what, I'm just going to get started because the beginning of this, I thought just for fun, to start on a light note, I'm reading some limericks, which I think are just absolutely hysterical. Limericks are like one of my favorite things to write because they're just, I don't know, they're so silly. So this is just called Limericks Einer style. That's my middle name, Einer. But the whole thing here is, well, anyway, I'm just going to read them. To write books is a kind of a fling. I know that I'm no Stephen King, but I'm suddenly sweating to describe a beheading. I'd rather they'd ask me to sing. Some of these do become bawdy, by the way, which I think limericks do require mostly. I mean, or usually, I should say. All right, the second one here is, I went to a movie with Maeve. She was there to make sure I behaved. She sat right behind me so she could remind me how badly my brain is depraved. And I'm going to tell you, there is someone I know with that name, but she will remain faceless. Let's just say that. All right, here's another one. I fought off a man with a cane who said to be gay is profane. I fell to the ground with hardly a sound, though I did take the Lord's name in vain. Wouldn't we all? I think. Oh, anyway, I'm having fun with these. I don't know. I guess they make some sense. Okay, this one I really like. Okay, get ready. RuPaul, when asked if she's hung, replied in her confident tongue. Her wardrobe belies the log 'tween her thighs. She tucks it in back of her bung. Makes sense, huh? I have to really enunciate because I assume everyone understands everything I say, and actually, it's sometimes when I listen back, I can't even understand my own. I own what I'm saying. All right, here's another limerick. A man wanted me to correct him. I agreed to proceed to inspect him. I read him his rights and turned on the lights to find him inside of my rectum. Didn't expect that one. And guess what? I found the rhymes for that, so that's why I feel proud. I at least I found a limerick that you could do. And notice I don't cheat with most limericks. Says there once was a man from something, and then they just always use a city name to rhyme with. That I think is a little bit cheating because I think I can write without having to keep one line where it's just the name of a city. Okay, here we go. Jimmy was known as a player who was constantly running for mayor. He kissed all the cronies and showed his cojones, but the crowd said it made him look gayer. It just wasn't working for him, I guess. Okay, here's one that's kind of funny. And if you know anything about John Waters, you're going to understand this limerick. Okay. I once met the Lady Divine, who asked if my dinner was fine. I said it's not soggy nor tasting like doggy. I suggested she get back in line. Go get back in line, Divine. Anyway, the ones who know will understand that limerick, and if you don't, look her up, Lady Divine. She's actually, sadly not with us, but she did star in Hairspray, the original movie, which she was, so that's the most famous movie she was in, actually, other than Pink Flamingos, which I won't, I'm gonna go there right now. All right, the last limerick here is called, well, it's not called nothing. It's actually a religious limerick, if they do exist. This one does. A pastor was known all around to preach in a hospital gown. He claimed all the breezes were coming from Jesus and smiles from the ladies in town. Just for fun. And this one I'm going to do just to see what people react to and give a like or a hate or whatever. I don't know if this works or not. It's this exercise. It's called the 12 Months of Madness. And God knows I know what those are like. But anyway, this is something funny anyway. On the 12th month of madness, my true love gave to me 12 angry men, 11 lawyers leaping, 10 sirens sounding, 9 bullets flying, 8 maids a milking, 7 clever cameras, 6 suspects hushing, 5 pastors prying, 4 secrets keeping, 3 babies napping, 2 lovers loving, and a single white carnation in a rosebud vase. Now, obviously, this poem is a take off the 12, what is it, the 12 Days of Christmas? I don't know. But that song, you have to repeat like 25 times. I'm like, well, a poem, you can't do that. So what you do is you end up telling the story backwards. So maybe if you see it written, it makes more sense. I don't know. Let's hope. Anyway, this next poem here is called Publishing. And you know what? I'm going to take a sip to give us all a short break here. To keep my throat from going. These darn allergies drive me insane when I'm trying to speak. All right, this is called Publishing. To whom it may concern, publish me, for God's sake, my secrets. Throw them all against the climbing wall. Surely some will stick. Sincerely, Mr. Deeds, done cheap and used up. My compassion scatter upon the sands like dew dung. Let the beetles peck at the crumbs that fall as if by accident from the holes in my keyboard fingers. My parched lips grin in my desert headscape of harsh winds and dunes of discarded glitter. Or flip me inside out in chapter 2 to find 100 warning signs, milestones, weather vanes, flashing humility and pride at every punctuation mark. In time when this tale is outed for you random seekers scrolling in the glare of dark, you will still know less of me than the honesty on this page can know of you. Okay, that was written on February 10th of this year, in case anyone cares. Excuse me. All right. This is actually called Ode to Robert Frost from a High-Rise Window. I do read poetry, but only certain poets. I don't read a lot of poetry. But the ones I do, I don't know, sometimes I like to write a little bit of a tribute to them or a little bit in their style. Now this, I have an actual rhyming scheme that I don't know if you'll catch, but you might if you see it written. It's called Ode to Robert Frost from a High-Rise Window. With cat I am, in watchful way, we sit in self-imposed window seats above the sky below our tower traffic jam. When does it rain? We're never there to see the raindrops fall. Too high a view at 29, you won't hear me complain. When blizzard's falling, we will know to bear the howling screams. Windows buckle, toilets sway outside a city squalling. I window peek behind the veils while neighbors come and go, but mouse can keep cat occupied for nearly half a week. My tears will come with crumpled grief on doctor's iffy orders. Paper towels 7 deep for soaking up my glum. So Mr. Frost, with vows to keep and lives galore to fancy, lapping waves on frigid beach and dismal clouds oppress, tears come home to roost for sleep. And thank you for listening to that one. That one was written in November 25th of 2020. These are all drafts also, folks. These are all being rewritten, probably published maybe within the year. This will be available in Kindle and, book form, electronic, whatever. It will be modern. Let's say that will be modern. Okay. This is called The Master Race. This one is a little bit different. We can clone... I'm so sorry. We can clone humans now. This is a new and better way to reproduce. And we don't need women at all. Not for babies, not for nothing, unless you found one worth cloning. These were the thoughts I read for years from William Seward Hall, Doc Benway, and others. Who would they clone now? Ricky Martin by the millions, a master race of queer hunks, or imagine Boys Town, a daily bride fest of Jeff Strikers, beer can dicks at attention. Or would some take clones of Joel Osteen for those lonely nights? Our economy can't afford more than one of him with his inspirational cubes and tax-deductible blessings. Do the poor get to clone Grandma to keep her around? Could they use their snap cards? Or Fluffy the bunny stuff her at least? Fluffy, I mean. Grandma could be propped up in her chair until her SS runs out. Clone 1,000 types of me and unleash us to every continent, and we shall in hive mind collect the jewels of wisdom scattered across vast oceans that reflect in their churning waves images of all our possibilities. Wow, that one kind of got to me. That was written January 17th of 21. You know what? I actually become hypnotized actually reading late at night my own work. And it's like for no reason other than, well, I don't know why it is. This is Death by Cliche. This one's actually supposed to be funny. Let's see if it's actually funny. You know, put a ha-ha if anyone. I mean, I can see there's virtually, well, no one watching. Death by Cliche. Imagine my jaw upon returning from Brazil and leaving that madhouse experience behind me to finally turn on the TV on Saturday morning to see me in cartoon. A living George of the jungle, the feral child of the 70s. But my jungles are lined now with crosswalks and urban views, landscapes broken by man alone who built these towers of glass and steel overlooking the less blessed. Have I become green acres in this urban madness? But then of which misfit am I, raised on Indian land but sweet white boy meat? Cliche victim of race music, female impersonators, suicidal queers, strong, independent women plunging to their Wall Street deaths, to Fu Manchu and the Oriental threat. I am better red than dead. Or shall I elevate this boredom to sonnet, iambic pentameter? Look it up, I'll wait. Oh, you of massive breasts and teats of splendor, blah, blah, blah. You've read those damn things, the grandeur of Rome. Snow-capped mountain peaks, crystalline lakes, a swan with ripples, rubbish. The puts me to sleep, rubbish. Please shock me today and skip the clever rhymes. Cattle prod the prose out of me until I have a dirty word for every rock I hit on the way down off this high horse I rode in on. And that was written on 12/17/2020. You know, actually, when you do go look at these days, and this one's written a month later by order of the king. And get ready, this one is dark. I'm just warning you, this one's dark. My publisher finds this one actually a bit comical, like dark humor. I don't know, this one scares me, but she finds it dark humor, and there goes my light again. I can barely see here. It's like, what is it, 2 in the morning already? Okay, this one's called By Order of the King. There we go, I'm sorry. By order of the king. The blade shears my neck as the crowd screams, my body jerking. No numbness, no dark tunnel, icy feet. I hear commotion. What of his majesty? Did he hear the thud? I feel nothing. My soul is fading and random muscles tick my face. It is a soft white noise, an arpeggio slowly gaining in chaos. My severed head is near enough that I can see how I fell against the executioner's blade. With eyes wide, I have rolled to the side. This topsy-turvy world holds for one last gush. And I do apologize for that poem anyway, it was written on 127, a month after that last one. I don't even remember what that one. This one's real short, called The Lone Piper. It's really super short. And then I'm going to take, it's a couple little short ones. I'm going to take a little short break, which you'll see. All right, this is called The Lone Piper. And these are short. I might read them quickly just through twice, just so you can. The Lone Piper. Genius springs eternal only when onlookers appear. Drugs are mistaken for the nerve of a hatless man in a crumpled shirt no wife would press. Lone Piper, only a lonely child will follow. This is written on May 3rd, but it actually is for the SGI Buddhists. That's we call it like it's either SGI Day or President's Day. That's when our two of our presidents were inaugurated that day, so we commemorate it like that. Anyway, that has nothing to do with this poem though. But it's just, I'm going to read it again. The Lone Piper. Genius springs eternal only when onlookers appear. Drugs are mistaken for the nerve of a hatless man in a crumpled shirt no wife would press. Lone Piper, only a lonely child will follow. Okay, this one here I think is a little bit kind of funny too. We're getting hopefully in on a lighter note here. All right, Company Coming. When early curtains part to reveal this dark morning town, a quiet joy returns. In this yawn of sun hope, even without the light, I feel a warm glow in places webbed and sagging. Let the joy inside and the moonbeams while I awake and shine down the healing light to my dry skin legs, the miles tattooed on my feet. Dawn is far away yet, and better so, for I have much to tend and corners to sweep. I haven't entertained the likes of you in a month of Sundays. Written on 1/25 of this year, 2021. And the very last one here, if you can bear with me, another shorty, is called And Appropriately Allow Me to Change You, which I just love some of that. To me, the titles are half the battle. Because why wouldn't you want to read a poem called Allow Me to Change You? Because, or you might not want to be changed, maybe. Anyway, okay, allow me to change you. I've got molds to try and melting pots heating. Give me your list. Let's start with the elephant in your head and your throat who quenches herself on logic and caviar. Allow me as I see fit and style in meticulous Dewey Decimal back-ordered questions on your inseam and swagger. Don't worry the pain, we'll block your screams with earplugs, and for you I'm dialing in your gay voice anyway, so, you know. You should be taller and less hairy above the waist. I call blue eyes and wavy dark hair that matches my sense of humor. But I have not in my haste, but have I not in my haste described a million souls that plead unsung even now without my plastic solutions? Or have I not, in my haste to perfection, rejected a million souls of my own? Sometimes I think all I do in my poetry is just ask questions that I have no idea if there are even answers to. That was written in February 24th of 2021. And if you need to take a break, potty, all that, I'm going to get up and just take a stretch because the next section is going to be about gay LGBT. And I don't want to make this two separate sessions because I'd like it in case people are following this. They might want to join in and just listen a little bit. If people don't catch this live, I don't care. I will post it and save it. So, if you're catching this later, please, thank you so much for listening. I just need a few swigs on I'm drinking Kool-Aid, if you can believe that. And, don't, if you don't believe it. We got a cabana this summer. The pool is opening on Thursday. We go to open the cabana. We already looked in there. We're getting it, but this is our first year in the cabana. That's just ours for me and Joel. And inside there we looked, and there's a beautiful those double door refrigerators. That was in there, and there's a grill in there, and there's this other thing. And then we're like, well, are those people leaving that there? We just got a email from the building manager that said, first she told us last week we got the cabana, which we never had dreamed. We're trying to figure out how to celebrate our 25th anniversary. Now we've got a cabana for the whole summer, and it's at a very private part of the pool too. So if we need to get away from people, we can just like sit and maybe have a drink and play music or just talk and maybe have quiet. It's open from 6 in the morning till midnight. I don't know that I'll make it all those hours. But right now, being that I'm up at, what is it, almost 1:30, I probably wish the darn pool were open now. I'd go for a swim. And by the way, it is 80 out right now, or at least it was today. We can look out over what we call Hollywood Beach. They say it's the gay beach or the Hollywood Beach. It's actually Osterman Beach. But we call it the gay beach just because. And what's nice about it is there are no parking lots nearby. So it's only local people that just walk over there to hang out. And there was actually a huge party there today. I would say around here, everyone's vaccinated. And outdoor things seem to be quite safe. So that's what we're doing. Okay, let's start the second section now. This is called Orbs and Asses. Well, that's the name of this poem. And as I said at the beginning, if you didn't catch that, we are thinking about using Orbs and Asses as the title of the entire, just this book of poetry called Orbs and Asses, which I think kind of works because maybe some poems are about orbs and some are about asses. And I would say this poem is about both. And I'm just warning you, this is a whole stuff on gay stuff, so there's a lot of just very visceral, very blunt, openly gay topics here for people who are interested in those sorts of things. All right, here we go with Orbs and Asses. Orbs come to me every time I think I'm done for. They wait for me in the wings and snicker because I always forget they're there. Oh dear to forget. What a blessing. Orbs are the rainbows of countless Buddhas, visibles as they jut across the night sky. Orbs can save you from the meanies, from the jabbing, judging fingers. This damn universe has been such a bully. Allow me to shut out the world and crawl somewhere. Claw my sheets and chomp on my synthetic pillow. Quarantine forever. In exile, where no one can hear my chatty Cathy mouth, no bitter therapist with smug little avoidance grins, where evil walks with me in the garden of good intentions. Tonight I will try a new bar, the Manhole. But there's rules. No shirts allowed beyond this point. Boldface! Exclamation point. I have a bit of a belly and a fetish for sex and drugs and electronic dance music. TVs, the old clunky ones on platforms hung by nasty chains, screens flashing passion on loops with German subtitles, with lube, with sweat, with big beefy hips in slow motion. I push myself into the movie. A mechanic lying on his back on a floor stained with blood and axle grease. I need that thick man to take me away. My vodka says I'm ready now for armpits, for stiff dicks and stretchy shorts. Sometimes they'll show you theirs. Sometimes you can touch it in casual passing. Voices speak in silent movie talk, meteor showers snap in salute to that strange beat I feel in my dick. A thick man with dark eyes leans over. I'm sorry, let me start over. I can't even see in the dark here. A thick man with dark eyes leans over, grabs my ass on the dance floor, my manhole. I will love him, but not tonight. It's time for a drink, I managed to say, and that is when my galaxies collapse into a man with strong arms that won't let go. It feels nice to write phone numbers on matchbooks with a borrowed pen, with a dab of hope, with something other than my own quarantine. Gently we have become a future of flesh and naps and showers and mealtime, feeling private when the door is open, forgetting to get dressed because I'm comfortable in my own skin. So is he. This thick, black-eyed knight who has rescued me from my own inhibitions. We're home, if home is cold coffee in a chilly, cluttered room. I hear the munching of our senior baby kitty. Is that her second breakfast? I love to count and compare. Tears cannot be counted, though they punish me when I forget things, like where is my underwear? Is there a metaphor for underwear? This dark hole I see before me now doesn't seem as deep. Because I have my own dark-eyed man next to me on some random bare rug. We don't even need to hold hands anymore unless we want to. I get a stab in my stomach still whenever I avoid questions. Can we go on? Will we? Do we want to go on? No, no, and no. I don't even want the trees to go on. I want a new world with new trees, soft, gentle rains. This new world will have a dozen moons by day, and meteor showers that bathe us by night, that lets us to sleep until we are rested. Orbs and Buddhas and rainbows will appear again, maybe this time in broad daylight. I bet there's a whole host of them laughing their asses off, waiting for my second coming. Oh well, I kind of screwed that one up a little bit. Anyway, it's really hard to see if I can get this light better, because it's really dark in here. And every time I move something, then all my light goes away. Let me see if this is better. This is a little better, I think. Okay. All right, this is called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost. On the cobblestones of Portugal, we wept at the hallelujah of your Lisbon song, this lilting gift unexpected. Remember Iguazu Falls, how silent we were in breathless gaze at the frothy Brazilian waters, immeasurable, cascading massive veins of earth, teeming with mud and defiance, churning toward a sea unseen like gravity. We shared your altar once, humble shrine of pine and resin. We became the silken cloth guarding your mandala of destiny and distance. I cried in your arms under the disco lights in the days of magic, when right on time 1,000,000 light years arrived with a harmony unplanned, for an exact reenactment of that love song we wrote ourselves. Far beyond deja vu, we faced eternity then and knew it. That was the key. Events nearly undisturbed even now by time and trend. Do you still marvel as I do to remember our first ever parade? A pride to end all shame, a pride to end our separate lives and meld us into one destiny at the hip. To see eternity again before us and enjoy the thought, to know that time is none of our business. You had to be there, as they say, but you were there. You were there, there when they came for me, just as I was there for you when you cried again for Africa. But in these waning years, no tears will come for me. No nerves can keep the dreadful future at bay. No wisdom can stave regret. No courage can push the door that sealed itself against me for safety's sake. All our Kodak moments looping over and over like 45s on repeat, melodies of a life relived, remastered, and stacked in the attic. And all the while drugs are dragging the needle around and back again until the next record drops another memory for a spin. I sob alone now, still burning through memories like firewood, as if to quench the flame might quit this torn soul tangled in these fibers of despair. I will not face my resurrection only to die again for the sheer joy of keeping busy, nor compare ancient trophies, those old touchstones that measured our greatness, now corroding in the spider dust above the fridge. To create even one memory today so grand we could die delighted, a memory truly worth its salt, and for good measure taste me like we're 40 again, for one full body rush of goosebumps. That one was written on 4/19 of 21. This one doesn't sound, it's not as bad as it sounds. And you guys, you know what, take breaks, whatever. I mean, I'm just going to read these darn things if I can take it. This one's called Crematoria, if I may. Don't you dare bury me whole or place me on display under glass without my baseball cap on, lying in a state I was never even born in, a posture I would never even hold long enough without a snicker. Burn me alive if you have to. It's only a preview anyway of a brimstone to come and wailing for those sour grapes just out of reach. God expects me to gnash my teeth, but I already do when I don't wear my mouth guard. Take my ashes and sprinkle them in our backyard garden, where I once staked the red maple sapling to the chain links, where it now grows straight and tall, free from the scurry of summer feet. I am addicted to the carousels that taunt my memories, spinning reruns that leave scars in my brow for souvenirs. I don't need to leave this slow spinning carousel. I'll find a proud seat on a horse with a long, coarse mane this blue fly can cling to. I want to grip the sturdy staff of empathy that guides these travel-worn boots through the dark suspicions I thought would protect me. Stress has me step on the scale now more often than I wash my hands, and I can try to keep my trap shut during your long intervention, your conversion rehab, though I do resent your attempts to rewire me, an incurable lifeaholic. I avoid the gaze of the mediocre, those who pass me in scorn and haste, without holding the door for an old man leaning on a sturdy staff only I can depend on. This big stick is all I need to support my feeble frame on the rocky path to Kyoto, where the moon will appear above the capital. I am a demon armed with an iron staff, a sapling deciduous staked against buffeting storms of hate and disbelief. But it's not the drugs I'm on nor the penetrating eyes, my private contradictions that judge aspects of me I thought I was proud of, coaxing bits of shame from my back pockets where I keep my ticket stubs. When I go, I do not want a line of survivors parading past my rotting corpse, somber church organs, droll echoes in sterile hallways, lovely old hymns I still remember how to play. No tune half as gorgeous as I ever was. Do chant aloud and loudly when you think of me. I don't require communion rituals, but you could drink all the wine you want in my honor to my peaceful return. My favorite Soundgarden song is Jesus Christ Pose. Crank it up while they shove me into the stove and chalk up another one gone to the rotisserie until the jaws of life rouse me for another quick jaunt. Oh, wow. Okay, that one was written on 5/9 of 2021. This one is about my husband. It was written in January. This one's called The Man in the Next Room. And like I said, these are drafts, folks. Don't quote these. These are all going to be out, and some of these in a zine already, so you can see these in print very shortly. This one's called The Man in the Next Room. The man in the next room wants to spend the rest of his life with me. How unsettling. How unexpected, even after almost 25 years. It's not his frame I'm after, though he wears it well. It's the thought of lasting till the end. We welcome the death sentence, or are we serving life? We want to go together, not out the window and not next week. When we're around 99 or so, holding hands or spooning like that sad couple on Titanic who lay there as the water lulled them to sleep in arms of karma and love. Written on 1/17. A Closer Walk with Me. This I wrote about Joel also when I first met him. A Closer Walk with Me. This one's short. From far away I watch you carve by sheer determination a steady forward path through the reeds and hardwood branches that would turn you back with brick of thorn or bramble bush. You turn to me and wave, your heart leaps within me. Yet with fingers crossed I gaze from this steep precipice and grit my teeth, such distance yet remaining, as if we are bookends on slanting shelves, to walk hand in hand among our small differences, collapsing breaths of courage and silly stubborn wills. A Closer Walk with Me, Nayuta Asogi, world systems by the billions. I lay down my scant binoculars. You shrink until the dust drifts from my extended palm. In one great breath, we are even grander still. I wrote that on 12/11. And here comes my little Sadie. Are you coming to help, Sadie? Are you going to help Papa? Are you going to help Papa read his poems? I'm almost done. I only got a few more. This one's actually really an interesting one if you can bear with. This one's called Tears from the Iliad. These are going to get real gay now, guys. Tears from the Iliad. No guilt in love, no shame in war, illustrated in reliefs for the Odyssey of Queers. Citizen soldiers in attack stance, phallic postures for pride and honor. No glowing halos and cracked Renaissance oils. No modesty needed for freemen on black lacquered urns. Will the Messiah come from the queer world, tormented to all extremes with proud agonies too graphic for television, but just enough to qualify for free two-day delivery? Watch breathless. The great American free fall clackety roller coaster drops more than your belly to euthanize for good any enthusiasm to live in peace. But why the next descent? Is there no stopping this contraption's angry speed? Because from down here it's all up. And what is the science? An object in motion. Lie in my grime, you and I, until we hit Eagle Peak or a stack of pillows. Normally that means a good 3-day nap. Written on 4/17 of 21. All right, this one is revenge porn, and this one gets very. Some of these, well, this one's not that vulgar, I guess. All right, revenge porn. I'm crying again. Thought I was a goner, or my dignity at last had left me in the cold, dark tunnel of self-loathing and a hankering for pizza. I sat hard in those puddles you pushed me in, sitting like a wet girl in my red rain boots. Dad said we couldn't afford anything better, and it was so stormy out my mod made me wear 'em. To feel or not to feel, lamenting false starts, and blushing Betsy-Wetsy mishaps, shame contrived by the wild third-grade boys, the normal ones. Am I mother to random misinventions, or are those teasing brains of mine just boy toys tossed in my new bully playground game? Don't you get it, you handsome fools in those trendy Cuban heels and leather jackets? I'll take you before this life is over. Over and over. That's how I get mine as a man, and now you've been warned. I'm a top now. But this time we will be consensual. How's that for revenge? That's 12/17 of last year. This one's Are You From Sodom? And it's as bad as it sounds. Are you from Sodom? Step this way, ladies and gentlemen. See, Dr. Benway saw a human in two. The doctor waves a rusty sawbone. Near him, the lovely and talented assistant flashes her teeth and points both arms toward the human on the slab between them. Death metal rattles the air. The filthy saw comes down on the timid flesh, blade slicing fore and back. Doctor is sweating. One last hack at the spine, and the human pulls apart like bubble gum. On the left, a nude hunk, bedroom eyes, rock hard shoulders, Tom of Finland cock, tree trunk legs feet apart. On the right, a queer soul in RuPaul pose and golden lashes. She is swaddled today in Vegas feathers and nerve. What's up, bitches? This is not the show we fought and died for. Aren't we all on the hermaphrodite spectrum? Why do we surrender ourselves to physicians' decisions on our sexual identities along the American binary way? In our march against fear and gender cleansing through pillow talk surveillance and genital threats, this freeway is stripped of our history's touchstones. Turn right for Closeted Coast. Fluid Lagoon next exit. Queers, stay in your lane. Is this a dead road where dreams come to die, or will we find open skies where labels scatter like puzzles in the breezes of dreams and speeches not born typical? I am Gomorrah with wings above the hollow town, angel of glamour and delights. I slaughter the firstborn with my drag queen ways, but the blood of the queer child I protect and pass over. I am Sodom, throbbing, muscular top. I dominate the asses of those queens, bare, hairy boogaloo sissies of the Proud Boy bottoms and their Confederate fag drag. I will plow you a new road a hoe. In this tale of two inner cities, to live as twins or just divided, even my dolls are torn. That was written on March 27th of this year. All right, Boogaloo boyfriends, when I think about you, I vaccinate. They do it like no other, and Proud Boys know how I like it. Inside those boys, that raw anger gives them a tight butt. Horn guy, you dude in the horns, I'd hump your ass so hard and deep. Back in the USSR, we didn't know what hot was, and California hunks and Hawaiian shirts just don't cut it anymore. Wanna play William Tell with Burroughs? He'd fuck you first, plunging your depths of depravity, and then blow your head off. I can drum up a little racism sympathies, a little homophobia on command. I fetish on bullies, mean soldiers. Just don't show up for the orgy in those baggy Nazi pants from the Great War. Do bring those Confederate bungholes for my love rifle. I may need a bayonet. You barking mustache screaming down Capitol security guards, hold it open wide again for Misty Happy. Deep throat this bitch. I hear Southern boys talk to talk, and Midwest militia are really all bottoms when candles are snuffed. I'll hate myself, but that rush from head to groin, maybe on a little meth and a quick sniff from a bottle of locker room. I will make a wish and eat at the Y. Or could you eat this and lick it while you're down there? We're both cut the same way, if you know what I mean. January 6th, I ran out of lube. Damn, you guys kill me. Tip of happy, girth of lust. I just hope you're not overcompensating for sullen dreams of drag parties and a tendency to lisp. When you say, don't tread on me, what are you really asking for? Written on February 19th of 2021, and I really, what are you asking? What is that? Don't tread on me. What is it really? Okay, I'm going to read, this is my last one. This is a love story. I'm not going to read that. This is a love story that takes place, I would say, in the 1400s. This is maybe my version of what I'd say like Brokeback Mountain. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what this is. But I thought it was a horror story, and my publisher is saying she thinks it's a love story. So you decide. This poem is called The House of München, and this is fictional. The braised lamb in my belly has caused me a dark pain deep within, where this grief has me twisted such that I shat the whole some hours ago by now in my lone bucket, a privacy I enjoy in complete solitude, save the occasional salamander slithering across the damp. Imprisoned in this dark human tomb of perpetual terror, how many weeks have passed? Dread has overcast me like a cloak across my nearly naked soul in preparation for mercy or execution. Shall I ever know which? Alas, are these vile bowels less corrupt than my own dark heart, even in this willing confession of mine, which no priest shall hear if I have a say in my own damnation? This prison of mine is the first in a line of otherwise empty iron cells. A single captive am I, my only companion, this biting cold, save for a kinder soul than most, nay, than I have ever had the pleasure. I call him Dark Eyes, my jailer. He's taken a dangerous fancy to me that has grown further than usual camaraderie. I can scarce participate in more discussion than a wide-eyed nodding of my bearded head or swipe of the hand in gesture, my tongue having been split, a slice from which I have till now survived by the miracle of some saint I shan't name, but have found resides in these iron-cold stones. While tending to my daily needs, Dark Eyes speaks to me in a tongue which, while foreign to my ears, has a certain softness and pity in the tone. He repeats the word querido, perhaps his name for me. He has stood over me by my cot on occasion, his cock aroused, a need I know well. He unbuttons his trousers, pleading. I have received his seed, and gladly, perhaps the only milk I shall drink for aye. When I glance up from my sopping mouth, he looks away to release his shame as a wet nurse, to pulsate his sex beat against the hunger of my open throat. This language of lust I understand. It is the music of flesh and craving, a lullaby to soothe the dirge of my impending mortality. The king's summer castle itself must be directly above this dungeon, and the gallows creak against the autumn breezes cruelly within earshot, macabre diversion to further torment my own vivid mind in this subterranean cage. As for my own fate, they called it patricide, a word too fancy for this grisly face bearded with lice and crumbs. I haven't left my cot this night since my belly has settled now from the lamb well braised, that unheralded delicacy. I shan't arise until Dark Eyes appears. I haven't the strength. As for father, I can only say it was worth it after all. Shall I have left him to devour this hungry world? With his drink and his madness, for his passions to diminish him as he has diminished our proud coat of arms, the house of München, held in honor these dozen centuries, can this denizen's offenses relieve me from the public swing? Within that thought there is some comfort, although I am anxious and overcome with new dread. Recent days have offered my fearful ears the gaining swell of angry crowds. With each chortled breath I creep closer to learning my fate. In this slow death, curiously, I am becoming tormented with morning arousal. It has become quite acute, such that a certain pain attaches its nails to my shrunken loins, further betrayal and proof of my guilt. How many mornings have I lain here with this brick in my hand, and while limp would still squirt in time, a feeble but proud testament to a prowess unbowed even by the threat of mortality, nay, to be engorged by the thought. In another mind space I awaken to the scrape of early boots on cold stones worn by death and innocence alike. A terror grips me. It may be the executioner. I am being summoned. I tap my chest where the pressure is building. My own breaths are quick and shallow. though my prick is throbbing still and painful. Torch and smell of oil, but it is dark eyes once again. At this unholy hour, approaching my cell, bulky shape flickering in the flames of breezy torchlight, he grunts to pick at his keys to the heavy iron door. Inside now, it is but a few steps to my cot, but he hesitates. I am lying on my side toward him. The rhythmic squeaking of my bed betrays my private jerking for seed, and he, rather than slapping me or grabbing my arm as he will, just smiles and winks. His fingers clasp around my neck and begin pressure. The sudden lack of air causing me such ecstasy that I float high above. It starts in my toes and shivers through my whole wretched body until I explode in spasm of scant fluids dry as my throat. I am spent. I weep silently at this primal gift from a man unknown and intimate, the perfect combination. And the bouncing shadow torch's dark eyes stands over me. There is a new love in his burly face. A shift in his shadow. Usually he will slap me or dump me from my bunk to fling me to the floor in laughter for relief perhaps, or to show his true manhood still stands intact. He takes my head in his hands and mutters that same word again. Querido. With an added grief I can hear in his lowered moan. His thick, slick hair mostly covers his face, but his eyes burn black through the forest of eyebrows and whiskered cheeks. He begins to mumble something and holds my gaze. In the fix of those wide eyes, I see my own timid image reflected twice. I am rapt. Then, ever so gently, his fingers once again clasp my throat and massage my weary neck. He is still staring into me, into my living soul. But more pressure now, and I can't swallow. I attempt to push his hand away, but he tightens down. Blinded and limp, I cannot remember my last breath. The pain begins to dissolve. Footsteps, loud shouts, closing in. Dark eyes mutters my private name, querido. I slowly pass to a distant piece I somehow recognize. Relief floating up with me like a proud line of ancestors. That was written on 1/3 of 21. And I don't know, for some reason I thought that was a horror story. And my publisher said, no, it's not a horror story. It's actually a love story. And you know what? Since this one is really short, I wasn't going to read it. But this one is very lighthearted and just kind of funny. So let's leave it on a higher note. And this one's called Coming of Age. And I won't have to tell you until you read it how I spelled the word coming. Just to give you a little warning, don't even read this unless you're kind of, into the whole, coming thing. Anyway, coming of age. Puberty hit me while helping my dad build our house in the southern tip of Brazil. A tip I remember well, and which taught me much about manhood. It was a young lust ablaze. When I see the pictures now, what I did in that room, or behind those taquara bamboo, it's not easy to build a house on nothing but fantasies and a bare slab of land. Lunchtime, or rather post-lunch privacy, during which I'd grab a roll of toilet paper for cover, though no dump took place unless you consider these personal passions a kind of dumping of seed, but with a horny twist. I would be a fantasy for someone now, those jungle passions staged for cameras, porn stars. I shot my own footage, a splash or three on random leaves. Then back to work. I hear someone dragging a ladder. We are putting the tiles on today. That's just a. She wants me. My publisher wants me to put a little bit of Brazil in this book, just because the next book I write might be a whole bunch of poems about the 5 years I spent in Brazil as a missionary child, and from whence I learned, or from where I learned fluent Portuguese. And those poems will have a lot of Portuguese in them, and hopefully will be more accessible as a book where once you get used to it, me being, using Portuguese words, the book itself will become accessible, or you would not even want to even pick it up if you're not into reading. It's like foreign. I had a friend that wrote about her experiences growing up as a young child in Paris, and she used lots of, French words and that, which I didn't understand, but I loved just the sound of her reading the story and using those beautiful sounding French words. And Portuguese, pardon my French, is even better, is more beautiful sounding than French, because Portuguese is like Italian with like a French accent, to me, in my opinion. But anyway, and don't ever think that Brazil speaks Spanish, because I had one person tell me, I said, well, I grew up in Brazil. Oh, you must speak Spanish. And I was just, I think we were in the pool and I swam to the other lane or something. I was like, you know what? I just can't even. Well, okay, folks, I'm signing off. And I know, I don't know if anyone's watching, because I don't even know how to do that. But I'm definitely going to listen to this and see how well I do. Hopefully, each time I do these, my voice gets better, my acting gets better. And I love every single one of you that did listen to at least any of this. Thank you. Bye-bye.